Hello and welcome. This is Sudhansu Pati. I'm co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of SPJ Solutions. This is a useful presentation and demonstration if you're on an NSXV environment and you're trying to figure out how to migrate your virtual machines to NSXT. This is an approach that's employed by organizations that have a lift and shift migration method where they have an NSXT environment stood up and they're trying to migrate their NSXV VMs into the NSXT. So you may have many questions. What type of outage should I experience on my virtual machines? How would my security groups and tags and my microsegmentation will be migrated? What would happen to my universal distributed logical router? How would my gateway be migrated? So hope this session and the demonstration will answer some of those questions for you. Before getting into the sessions, I highly recommend you to register those two upcoming sessions. 1244 is NSXV to NSXT migration, and you will hear from a customer that has successfully migrated from NSXV to T, Simon Fraser University. They'll be presenting their use case there. Session 1208 is the NSXV to T migration expert panel, and there are a couple of customers that are coming in and sharing their experience on B2T migration, and I'll be moderating that session 1208. When you are talking about B2T migrations, there are many complexities. We have released a book that's published by VMware, and I have authored 2 chapters that highlight real-life use cases of migration from NSXV to T. Chapter 2 emphasizes a small environment where microsegmentation migration was done in place from NSXV to NSXT, VDS to NVDS conversion was done. Chapter 3 is a lift and shift migration approach where you could read about it and learn how various components of NSXV was migrated to NSXT, including microsegmentation, load balancing, and network virtualization. This book is available as an ebook for you to download. You could Google it and download based on the name of the book, and you should be able to get to it. I talk about this migration process because this is extremely important. Customers are in the NSXV and they are in the journey to NSXT. There is a process that we follow to help the customers migrate from one place to another place. And this is a very successful process that has been employed and produced great results for us for over 60 plus NSXV to T migrations. The most important thing for this community is we have made the first step free for the customers. As you're looking into NSXV environment, trying to make the journey to NSXT, you're looking at various risk factors. What would the outage be look like? How many virtual machines would experience outage? Would the ESXi host needs to be upgraded? What would this migration timeframe look like? What are the other risks that I have? What type of skill set do I have to bring in to support this effort? So those 2 questions will be answered with the analyzing your NSXV environment that's done through cITopus and testing some of these conversions in our own SPJ data center. So we made those 2 steps free for the customers. They can reach out to us and we'll conduct those 2 activities for them to help out with the V2T assessment. Now let's get to the specifics of the demonstration we have for you today. So we are migrating virtual machines from NSXV to NSXT. I have published about 15 YouTube videos on the YouTube channel called cITopus, and there is a playlist called V2T migration. You can click on it to watch in sequence from demo 1 to demo 15. I'm planning on adding 20 more presentations and demos there, and so please subscribe that. This is a specific use case where our customers are on NSXV 6.7, but they are going to 6.7 vSphere environment, but they're going to a different V Center 7.0 that's registered with NSXT. This is a very common scenario where the customers are employing an in-place, a lift and shift, rather, migration approach to migrate from V to T. So how does this migration look like, and how does cITopus help with that process? And I will do a demonstration of that as well for you. So essentially what happens is the virtual machines are migrated from the universal logical switch and then land on the NSXT environment. No downtime, even though the virtual machines leave the boundaries of V Center 6.7 and enter into the boundaries of V Center 7.0. You can have shared storage as well. Once the migration is completed, the virtual machines are reconnected back to the segments that are already have network connectivity. So once you're in the segments in the NSX-T environment and the virtual machines are connected, their routing for layer 3 still goes through the universal distributed logical router. This first approach I explained is useful when you're wanting to do a non-disruptive virtual machine migration from V to T, and that's something I'm going to do a demo of today. Once you're done with that, you're entering to the step 2. So you're still providing universal, your layer 3 services through universal distributed logical router or the distributed logical router. So now you can take these virtual machines from the bridge segment to the routed segment and turn off the logical interface of universal distributed logical router. Yes, there is a lot happening there, but cITopus will make this process fully automated for you. So here's the migration use case that we'll be talking about. We'll be taking the virtual machines from a NSX V environment to the NSX-T environment, and we'll be testing the migration process from an UDLR-based connectivity to NSX-T bridge-based connectivity. So let's get to it. So here is cITopus. If you haven't seen cITopus before, it is a full-blown, full-stack application that supports NSX V, T, and VMC automation management. And very importantly, for today's demonstration, it helps in migrating virtual machines from one environment to another environment. So we have two environments in question today. One is the NSX V environment, and I have already registered my NSX V multi-DC environment, primary and secondary, and I will show you those environments. And the second environment is my NSX-T federated environment. What I'm planning on doing is migrating my virtual machines from NSX-V to NSX-T. So let's get to the NSX-V environment first. So this is my V Center, which is 6.7 V Center. This is 6.7. I'll be migrating virtual machines, the Oracle Web virtual machines, from this V Center to the another V Center, which is 7.0. As you can see, for the clarity, I've removed all the VMs. So there are no VMs on the compute cluster of this V Center. This is my target V Center. It's on 702. And of course, those two V Centers are not linked via enhanced link mode. My virtual machines will land on this particular cluster. And I will be showing you the automation of how this can be done. So what I have started doing is I've started connecting. Basically, what I've done is I have started pinging the Oracle Web application or the Web VM to Oracle App VM. So Oracle App VM, which is IP address 172.31.1.86, will still remain on the NSX V environment. I'm not migrating that to NSX-T, but I'm only migrating the Web VM. Also, I'm pinging the Oracle Web VM that I'm going to migrate to NSX-T from the north-south. So as I'm performing my migration, I'm going to be testing the north-south and east-west connectivity to see if there are any outages. And this is exactly how this tool performs in a production environment. We have successfully completed this type of migration for our customers during maintenance windows. So let's get to this NSX V environment again. So Oracle Web 1, Oracle Web 2, and that's IP address 82 and Web 3 are the only three VMs I'll be migrating to NSX-T. In my NSX-T environment, this is my NSX-T Manager. This is where my virtual machines will be migrating to. And if you look at the virtual machines, I don't have those Oracle virtual machines here. Okay, so let's start the migration process. So cITopus has something called the VM migration utility. Think of it, it's a full-blown product itself. It's a feature of cITopus, but it performs virtual machine migrations from V to T, T to V, cloud to non-cloud, non-cloud to cloud, all kinds of platforms back and forth, and rollback as well. So as I'm performing this migration, cITopus will capture the latest data from NSX environments so that it updates its database with the information that's the latest from NSXV and NSX-T. It presents me with this NSXV Manager source because that's where the environment is pointed to. It presents me options where what I need to migrate from, right? Is it a distributed virtual switch? Then it'll be migrated to a segment, or it's just a logical switch. Could be, and these are universal logical switches. So I selected that universal logical switch, and then it presents me all these virtual machines that are eligible for migration. Why can't I migrate and those edge VMs? Because if I migrate those edge VMs to NSXT, I will basically experience an outage. So that's why cITopus automatically prevents me from migrating those system virtual machines, which will create outage if by mistake somebody migrates it. So these are some of the added values of using cITopus in your environment. So I will select the Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, these 3 virtual machines, and continue with the migration process. cITopus provides me wealth of details of the IP address, and these are the VMs I'm migrating, and their status and where they are connected to. And then it presents me with the destination. Keep in mind the destination vCenter and the source vCenters are not linked. All they have to have is networking so that my VMs can migrate through the vMotion. Has a lot of other options that I will, for example, we can migrate the vCenter tags, NSX tags, and we can migrate the microsegmentation along with the virtual machine migration. cITopus has already selected the destination for me. I found the NSX Manager that's linked with that destination vCenter, and I'm selecting the network type as a segment. And here is where cITopus presents me with this option of where I want to migrate to. So I've selected the compute environment. I selected my storage. I selected my ESXi host. Keep in mind, if you have shared storage, cITopus will automatically pick the shared storage for you, and then it'll use that as a default for the migration destination. So then cITopus will present us a report stating everything that will change on the both V and T environment. Keep in mind, when you're migrating microsegmentation, you may also be updating the NSXV environment with a new IP set or with a new group, or maybe in NSXT as well, so that V and T environments are still in sync and the virtual machine migration really works for you and nothing is blocked by the firewall rule. Since in this case, we did not select that option, it didn't show us that. But it'll produce us a report. And a lot of customers use this tool as a virtual machine migration simulation tool or what if scenario tool. So they'll come here, get this report, and they'll put that report into the their change management system, and then exit out of the widget. When the actual change management window is approved, they'll complete the migration. So you can use this migration utility as a precursor to get all the information prior to migrating to NSXT. So let's go through the migration process. So it allows me to select what NSXT environment is. So I'm selecting this overlay transport zone. Notice that cITopus has already picked up the bridge segment. I didn't have to do anything. There are others available, but it automatically picked up that one because it understands that that bridge segment is linked with that universal logical switch for non-disruptive migration of the virtual machines. I can always create a new segment and migrate there. At this point, I'm not migrating the gateway, but migrating the gateway will be another process, but you're migrating all the virtual machines from your from NSXV to T, and then you can just migrate the gateway with it. Okay, so I'm going next. So I will start the migration process. So before migrating, I'm going to watch for any loss of pings. The migration process has begun. So I'm looking for east-west traffic between Oracle app and Oracle web, see if there's a loss of traffic. I'm monitoring my north-south traffic. As you can see, there are some longer TTLs here. That means this VM is being migrated. That's why the TTL is taking a little bit longer. So we'll be watching for any type of outages or loss of pings from the north-south or east-west while the migration process is going through. Keep in mind, cITopus utilizes vMotion backend API for performing migrations. So we lost one ping from north-south, and pings resumed. This is a good news because the pings resumed and we only lost one ping. That means migration is actually successfully completed. We can watch that from our vCenter environment. And cITopus will wait until vCenter to release the lock. Then cITopus will report as a successful migration. As you can see, migration is successfully completed from the source environment. Let's go to the destination environment. Yes, we got all those virtual machines already in the destination environment, and migration is actually completed. So with cITopus is waiting for releasing the logs so that from the V Center, and it will report that the migration is completed. Let's go and monitor our ping results. So we have some longer TTLs, which is good news that our migration has gone through successfully on the north-south connectivity. On the east-west connectivity between Oracle Web VMs and Oracle App VMs, we have some longer TTLs as well. So when cITopus performs this migration, this is a non-disruptive migration because we only lost one north-south ping. We did not lose any pings from the east-west. But while our virtual machines are on the V and T, they simultaneously exist on basically they exist on essentially the same layer 2 on NSXV and NSXT. And let me show you that. So this is the NSXT environment where we had no virtual machines. So when I refresh it, I see that my 3 virtual machines have come up or registered with NSXT and the inventory, and they are functional and running. One virtual machine is stopped. That's fine. So we go back to the networking. You can see that we have a bridge segment, and keep in mind cITopus edge cluster deployment utility will deploy the bridge for you. The way the NSXT bridging works, you deploy the NSXT bridge appliance into NSXV enabled cluster and then configure the bridge. So there are various steps to perform that, but cITopus will make that automated for you with the edge cluster deployment utility. So I look at that bridge segment, and I have 3 virtual machines that are migrated from NSXV are already registered here in NSXT. You can see the Oracle Web 1, Web 2, and Oracle Web 3. So now I have migrated my virtual machines successfully from NSXV to NSXT. What happens if some of these virtual machines are not functioning correctly? It may not be a migration issue. It may not be an issue with NSXT or NSXV, but it may be just an issue with some virtual machines. I want to migrate them back. So rollback operation is as important as roll forward operation. What if you're migrating 100 VMs and now you have to migrate them back? Keep in mind, these vCenters are not connected. How will you migrate your virtual machines from vCenter 7 to vCenter 6.7? You need a tool to do that. So cITopus performs that for you also automatically. To do that, we select this time we select the NSXT environment, and we start the migration process from T to V. So think of this as a rollback operation, but it's much better than rollback because you may have migrated 100 VMs, but only 5 VMs are experiencing the outage or issue, and you want to migrate only those 5 VMs back. You can do that with cITopus. It will not lose the security and networking consistency. It will make sure that those consistencies are maintained so that your virtual machines are operational. So we selected the NSXT Manager as a source, and we picked that bridge segment here that has 3 virtual machines. And I have these 3 virtual machines that are automatically selected because I selected the network. And now I can go to my NSXV V Center that's registered with NSXV, and I select my I want to migrate the V Center tags. We have NSX tags. You can do that too. So I'm basically migrating my virtual machines back as a rollback operation so that I'm back in the same stage where I was before I started this whole process. So let's start this migration. So this is the rollback migration, and I will select the universal transport zone. Notice cITopus has automatically picked this particular universal logical switch because it knows that it's linked with this bridge segment. You don't have to do that work manually. So this type of automation reduces any type of errors that users will otherwise create. So we are not migrating the segment in the gateway at this point. So we'll just start this migration process. So now we are migrating from NSXT from here to NSXV. Back to where the virtual machines were. So this is where the VMs are. We'll be migrating them back. So this is our source environment, right? Because it's NSXT registered to the environment 9 vCen 1. So you can see that cITopus has started this migration process. We can monitor the pings from east-west. Yeah, we lost 3 pings north-south. We did not lose anything on the east-west. We only lost 3 north-south. By the way, if you're losing 2 or 3 pings in the north-south, your SSH connection, FTP connection, load balancer connections, they will not experience any outage. You still want to create a notification window to perform this operation, because I know that helps you with that, but you will not experience any outage. If you lose more than 7 pings, then you may experience some hiccups on your SSH or HTTPS connection. So this is no harm when you lose 3 pings. But keep in mind, there are some sensitive applications, even if you lose 1 or 2 pings, they may experience throw alerts, then that's different, but in most cases should not experience any outage. So cITopus has reported that the migration is successfully complete. So we essentially performed a complete rollback operation from NSX-T back to the NSX-V without experiencing any issues, and no outages, no disruptions. So let's go to our NSX-V environment. So we had those Oracle virtual machines, web virtual machines back here on the NSX-V. They have all the V Center tags. Keep in mind, when you're moving your VMs from NSXV to NSXT, NSXT to NSXV, if they're crossing V Center boundaries, you may want to keep their V Center tags, because if you lose the V Center tags, your PowerShell scripts or any other automation scripts or VRA or anything like that depend on that tag will not function correctly. So you want to maintain that. So cITopus makes sure that your tags are carried over, NSX tags, V Center tags, and all attributes of that virtual machine is carried over so that it works fine with I've been migrated to other environment. You may have noticed my Oracle web applications or web VMs are on the same network as Oracle app. So even though I migrated only a subset of virtual machines from that subnet, this is the subnet 132.72.31.1.80/28. Even though I migrated some virtual machines of a subnet from V to T, I'm still able to maintain connectivity between the virtual machines from V and T, also the virtual machines within the T, with the capabilities that both V and T offer. So you don't necessarily have to migrate all at once. That's one of the questions that the customers have. Do I have to migrate all my VMs from V to T? No, you don't even have to migrate all the VMs on a subnet to T. You can choose to migrate only a subset of virtual machines. This type of flexibility and automation available in cITopus helps greatly with the customers who are unable to create a big outage window, data center outage window, and attempt to migrate everything at once. One other core capability I wanted to demonstrate here as well. If you look at the cluster design view, cITopus creates these graphical design views, and it introspects your environments and creates this for you. The virtual machines I just migrated are created by cITopus. There's a VM deployment utility, test virtual machine deployment utility, that helps us to deploy virtual machines into our vCenter environment. For example, if I drag and drop, it will create a widget, and then I can enter my virtual machine data to create that test virtual machine. The importance of the test virtual machines is immense in the case of V2T migrations, because these test virtual machines are 256 megs of RAM, 256 megs of hard disk, and 0.1 CPU. So we can theoretically deploy 250, 300 test VMs in less than 15 VMs using cITopus. Just do drag and drop, enter information, and do that. And we can take those list of VMs, apply the tags and everything that the customer has, and use our own test environment to test migrate. This is something that the customers or the system integrators can do. And this is something we have been, SPJ Solutions have been doing very successfully for our customers. We are able to test customers' migration scenarios using our own data center, using these test VMs that are very, very helpful. The other views that are extremely helpful are the layer 2 topology view of NSXV and NSXT environments. So when I go to the NSXT environment, for example, so my layer 2 topology view, it shows how my topology looks like. Where are my switches connected? Where is my load balancer? Where is my universal distributed logical router? And where is my ESG? And how the information is how all those things are connected together, where my virtual machines are. This is very helpful, because when we are performing migrations from V to T, we want to see how the connectivity works in the V so that we can establish the similar connectivity in NSXT infrastructure. Keep in mind, the bridge that we have utilized today for V to T migration is a native bridge that's offered by NSXT, which is deployed in the V environment. you can actually use the cITopus edge cluster deployment utility, and which I will show you. You can utilize the edge cluster deployment utility to deploy that bridge into, here is the deployment utility. So you can deploy the bridge into the NSXV environment. Okay. The other important things that are critical when you are performing the V2T migration is performing a pre-migration analysis of your NSXV environment. And that actually provides a wealth of reports for us to understand how the NSXV environment looks like, and gives a wealth of information of how the migration will change the NSXV assets to NSX-T assets. So for example, I may have those virtual machines connected to a universal logical switch. This report will show us that, okay, now if it's connected to a universal logical switch, it needs to be connected to a overlay segment. So this reporting that we utilize for virtual machine simulation strategy, because customers may have, let's say, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 500, doesn't matter VMs, but they're taking a subset of the VMs to perform the migration. They want to look into how these migrations will impact those virtual machines and everything else around those. So I'll show you a good example of that in the pre-migration analysis report. So all I did in cITopus is I clicked the pre-migration analyzer and report, and it produced all these reports for us. This particular report that's produced is helpful because I want to identify those virtual machines that we selected: Oracle Web 2, Oracle Web 3, and Oracle Web 1. How they are connected, which segments they are connected, which DLR they are connected to. So I can identify how they need to be connected into NSXT environment. This is a very helpful report for that we utilize for virtual machine migrations. There are other reports as well, but this is one of the important reports that are very helpful. So with this session, so to conclude this session, what we started out here is we showed you the V Center environment where the virtual machines will be migrated from, which is 6.7 connected to V Center 6.7 and NSXV. We migrated the virtual machines to NSX-T, which is connected to V Center 7.0, and we perform the rollback operation. Please watch the YouTube channels for other videos. If you have any questions, please send me an email or ask questions in any of the forums that I am on. Thank you very much for watching this presentation and a demonstration. I would really appreciate your feedback today.